Good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Wolfman. Today, what we're going to talk about is how to be more like Wolfman. Not saying I'm the most successful person in the world, but I'm going to give you some tidbits, a little bit of wisdom maybe, to help you make your life better, both in the martial arts sense, how I can do some of the stuff I can do, and in the world sense. Number one, have you done your 51 push-ups today yet? No? I just did after my first cup. Have you done your little stretching routine and a little bit of martial arts movements, which maybe someday I'll film, including my stir the pot and a little bit of Tai Chi like movements and a whole bunch of stretches? Have you done that yet? No? Well, you might want to get in that habit. Even for you youngins, a completely unloaded, just a BB gun, because I don't touch those real things because the media says they're evil. Have you done your dry fire yet today? With something like this, a Crossman. It's not a Crossman. What is it? It's a Colt Python made-ish thing. Uramax. Very real trigger. I do it on stuff like this and other stuff. Every day, dry fire is life. Have you thought about what you're going to do that day? Have you made some goals? So, do your 51 push-ups a day. Back when I was a teenager, it was not only my 51 push-ups, but 100 stomach exercises, leg raises, alternating, holding, out, doing all kinds of stuff, crunches, at least 100 exercises or 100 of each, 100 air squats, and 100 calf raises. Maybe 50 were both legs, and then 25 on one and 25 on the other, 50 on one, 50 on the other, 100 leg raises for the calves. Served me pretty well, made me pretty strong and able to go against all these rated out dudes forever, sparring MMA against the top guys. Might be some good things. Are you taking your vitamin D3? No? Is everyone telling you to live in fear? And yet you could ask them, how many IUs of D3 are you taking? How many milligrams of zinc and copper are you taking? The copper is important because of the zinc, I have later found out in my research. No? Well, hopefully you're taking a multivitamin that has some zinc with a little bit of copper to help balance a ratio that's needed. And some D3 because that's what keeps you not having to live in fear. I could eat better for sure. I got a COVID belly like a lot of people. I got depressed like a lot of people. But these are things that could help you out. Now that I'm older, I started finally doing fish oil. I should probably be doing glucosamine and chondroitin as well, and I'm not. But I already take a lot of pills because of my diseases. I have autoimmune and hypopituitary, lupus, and Sjogren's, and sleep apnea, and other stuff. But in the martial arts sense, I started in Taekwondo at 9 years old. But I read fervorously. Remember what reading was? And I'm not talking on your cell phone, but actual books. Everything I could about martial arts. Every book on every style I can find. You might want to read a book while you're at it before they burn them all and stop them on Amazonian places. You might want to read 1984 and Fahrenheit 451 so you can actually have logic and critical thinking that they don't want you to have anymore. By 15, 16, 17 years old. By 17 years old, I was already cross-training and pressure testing, going to a kickboxing school where the first time I did real sparring, getting cracked by some 35-year-old kickboxing dude really hitting me. I went to Choi Meng Do, Kuk Soo Wan, whatever I could find, big tall guy that I could spar at 18. I did the Aikido credit class and the Judo credit class, and I did the Judo classes after, and I TA'd Taekwondo as well. I also found some Israeli Mossad claiming dude to train with that looked kind of like Silat in the style that he made up. You could find me in articles and magazines and newspapers back in the day. So I was cross-training and I was reading. So that sends a good foundation. We talked about having a base. Some people misinterpreted a bit, but having a base in martial arts last time. I bounced at 18. I did other things as soon as I graduated high school. I've been places and done things. After 9/11, I went to a fire academy, and doing something like that gives you discipline. Having to wake up and jog at 6 a.m. in the morning, stuff like that is really good. Or like the SWAT school I went through 2 weeks ago. These things are good for you. Hard labor, I didn't do enough. I wish I would have and was better with tools. I didn't do enough. I mean, one summer, 18, 19, maybe 20 years old, I was mowing lawns and doing hard work all day long. I did roofing for a week and tearing apart things and stuff like that. That's good for you too. We talked about having a wrestling or judo would probably be the best budo you could actually do to establish your life and learn about discipline, about taking losses, about trying harder, about real passion. To the martial arts and how that relates in life, I used to train at least 4 or 5 days a week. At least 4 of those days were 3 hours. Whether that would be doing jiu-jitsu for 2 hours, driving 2 hours, training with Dan Severn for 2.5 hours, spending the night on his couch, training 2 hours with him the next day, after also doing his emails and stuff like that, and then driving 2 hours back. And then the next day it was JKD school for a Muay Thai class for an hour, a JKD class for an hour, and then either a Shuto or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or a hybrid mixed class of grappling for an hour. So you have to train hard in many hours, especially when you're young, to build that foundation. I can do stuff now just because I can do it. My nervous system has been trained. But when you're young, you must train diligently. And that goes with anything in life. If you're an artist, be an artist. If you're a dancer, like certain people, be a dancer. Go do it. Train hard. Put in the work. And if you have a dream of what you want to do, I say go do it. Now, certainly, I am not the richest man in the world, but I also haven't been divorced 3 times, and I don't owe at least $35,000 in debt like most people have. In fact, I owe nothing. Personally, I've never owned a credit card. Now, can I go buy a house? No, I can't. But I live my life the way I do. I've traveled the world. You might want to think about traveling. Whether that means military to you or joining Greenpeace, I don't care. Some organization. Maybe when you're young, you should go, without hopefully getting brainwashed, go travel a little bit. Because it should be eye-opening, not brainwashing. You should see what real problems are. What real people that don't have money for $1,000 cell phones and $200 Nikes and complain about being poor all the time, but what actually poor people that have to feed themselves and them families live like. In Africa and Southeast Asia, like I have. The year and a half combined of the 9 times or so I've gone to Japan. These are also things you want to do. If you have a dream, I wasn't the most successful MMA fighter. I didn't make it to the UFC, but I fought 2 UFC title contenders. Some of my fights are on UFC Fight Pass. Get my beat butt in my first fight against a 2-time NCAA champion wrestler, the most experienced fighter in America at the time. But I did do some things, right? I did commentate live on UFC Fight Pass, the first 5 live pancrase events, 270 to 276. If you have UFC Fight Pass, check out my commentary. See if I kind of know what I'm talking about. What else? Am I the most successful actor or stuntman in the world? No. Let's see, I was in a couples retreat. I was the robot Metro in the zoo fight with the big hammer and real steel. I was on CSI New York as a named character. NCIS, you didn't see me after the editing, but a couple days as a stunt driver and Mossad hitman as I drive up an SUV hitting my marks. I was on Sons of Anarchy as a Russian thug. In fact, I was on 2 episodes. Season 3.2 and Season 4.2. What else? I was a vampire, Dan the Wolfman, on The Passage. You can see some cool pictures of me occasionally. I'll put them in videos. I did some cool stuff. I worked for Konami, Metal Gear Solid, or Rising, for a couple weeks. Even a cinematic of the Katanagi head and arm spin against a knife stab. Might have been from my audition that they videotaped and everything. I think it was. Solid Snake doing Dan the Wolfman's moves. Yes, indeed. Though a lot of that got scrapped, even though I was being trained by a Navy SEAL for all my movements as a military guy and as Russian characters in the movie. So go places and do things before bad-mouthing and making judgments off of memes and news feeds. Read a book. I'm getting towards the end of my book on autobiography by Colin Powell. Look at some great men. My previous book was autobiography by Dr. Oh, it will come to me. It'll come to me later, hopefully. But you should read. Try to read a little bit a day. Do your push-ups every day. Do some stretching every day. Train martial arts 3-4 days a week when you're younger. And if it's only twice a week after you're 40, well, you know what? That's okay. Maybe you can do some yoga and stretches at least and some push-ups on some other days. If you're into really protecting yourself, maybe you should be doing your dry fire. Maybe you should be getting trained in safety. Maybe protecting good human life is what we should focus on more than letting multi-time felons back out again to try to murder people again and again and again, especially in states that are letting them out without bail in just a few hours. I mean, that just makes logic. Maybe you should stop listening to sound points and use some basic logic. People are people, and I tend to side with all the good people, judging them by their character. And that doesn't mean you get a free pass on being an absolute crap bag that has hurt people and threatened pregnant women and done all kinds of bad things and done armed robberies and done just all kinds of nastiness, threatened people and this and that with knives and stab people and rob people and shot people. You don't get a pass. Actually judge them equally by their character. But I digress. So, if you have a dream, you maybe should do a dream. I'm not saying don't get educated and don't have a backup plan. I should have finished my bachelor's. I didn't. I got very, very close. I think I went to 5 combination of universities and colleges. I went to at least 3 high schools. I've been in many countries and at least lived in 8 states, 8 states. I didn't live in Illinois, but I bounced in Illinois across the border. I was a volunteer firefighter, though I had a torn pec, but I went to all the training to help out the chief and get the hours in to do what I could do to help out. So, just have a plan. And as martial arts, why can I do all the things? Well, I kept training hard and hard and hard, but I also dabbled as I went along. And if I thought, well, you know, maybe it's time to, I'm doing MMA, but let's go into a inner city boxing gym and just do that, I also would do that. If I'm like, well, you know what, I've trained really hard this week, I don't have energy to go do MMA sparring, but let's go to that Friday judo class over there, I did it. Oh, maybe it's time to think about weapons and go do Kali again off and on for 3-4 times in my life, or a Wing Chun, or do a 1-credit Tai Chi class and learn how to flow and breathe. I did it. So if you want to be like Dan the Wolfman as far as martial arts and being able to do stuff, have your base like we talked about, and throw some sprinkling in. Be open-minded. I didn't say you had to go do something for 15 years and get absolutely nothing out of it. But instead, have your base, and because of your base, maybe you can go, oh, yeah, that might work. When someone's putting his finger in my face and threatening me, and I can handle this situation before it's a full-on, fully engaged fight situation. I can think logically. I'm not trying to do that against full-on punching attacks. At that point, it's time for something else. But I can think logically. Maybe doing things like random grab defense or random attacks, role-playing scenarios, someone in your face shoving you, saying F you, getting your adrenaline shock. Now you should have your sparring and your live grappling down, but maybe stuff like that helps when I'm just taking the groceries in on my cell phone in a transitional space. And boom, I'm surprised. If it helps me react quicker and more instinctively in a good way, maybe that's a good thing. And so these people that badmouth, and are they anybody? They're not anybody. I think we've gone over that. Maybe you should pay attention. So do your push-ups. Take your vitamins. Be logical. Look at some peer-reviewed stuff from before the last year. Like, think critically. Read 1984, read Fahrenheit 451, read autobiographies of great men. Don't buy into getting your news off of memes and networks that are all bought out with agendas. Think critically, that's being lost, all you young people. Think critically. Question. Question, but don't just question and repeat hearsay. Not just hearsay. Do your own. Get self-knowledge. And the more self-knowledge you get, and the more experience you get, now you can start to judge things a little bit better and what is useful and what is not to you in life or martial arts. Get that world experience if you can. Experience different cultures. Maybe live in different places. Maybe travel overseas. And I'm not just talking a week to Hawaii. I've never actually been. Max Holloway, what's up, bro? Maybe go get those experiences. And if you have a passion and you have a dream, like I said, get educated, have a backup, learn about different things, read books. But maybe go for your passion and see if it can work. And sometimes working just takes a long time. Did it work for me? Am I starring in every movie around the world? No, I'm not, but I've done some cool stuff. I've done 3 pro wrestling matches in Japan eventually. 16 years later, after I was first on TV, WWE, WWF back then, showing little clips of my audition to Tough Enough, inviting me to Tough Enough. I get on a Greyhound with no money, and I go and I stay in a hotel in New Jersey, gonna rob me, but yet Henzo Gracie welcomes me with open arms and says, teach that cop over there. You train with Severn, you know some street stuff, don't you? Go teach that big cop over there. So anyway, please thumbs up, share, subscribe, get in the comments. Let me know if any made sense. Let me know what you're doing. Are you doing your 51 push-ups? Are you taking your vitamin D3? Take your vitamins and work out, brother! Thank you for joining Dan the Wolfman for coffee.